got something very interesting going on here, because in that song, you know, Tom Joad, of course, is from the Steinbeck novel Grapes of Wrath, and that was Springsteen's inspiration for writing the song. So it emphasizes how, you know, artists and activists are very much part of a long tradition, and there needs to be an acknowledgement of that tradition if you're going to do anything with any kind of boldness or success. You know, if you're going to follow a vocation, you have to be constantly committed to invocation, understanding who opened doors for you and who gave you inspiration to do this. And then we could compare Kevin's song, and he played it again tonight, and it goes to Tom Joad, and see the similarities there. I don't know if you were listening to Springsteen when you wrote Supplying Demand, but you know, but they're both original and they're both unique and they both stand on their own. Yet they have a relationship with each other. So we see kind of this cross-pollination and this commingling here that goes on between artists and activists. And that's a very cool thing. And that's a very real thing. And it packs a lot of power. Because, you know, Steinbeck empowered Springsteen to write that song. Kevin's empowered by the songwriters who he takes influence and inspiration from. So keeping track of that tradition and therefore serving that community that you've voluntarily enrolled yourself into is a very important part of this artistic activist agenda. The other important thing that song discusses at the end there, if you listen to what he's saying about wherever there's a cop beating a guy, wherever a hungry newborn baby cries. What's the next line? I wrote the book, I should know this.
I can't believe you don't know that by heart.
Yeah.
There's a fight against the blood and
Hatred in the air. Look for me, Mom, I'll be there. Okay, that's very much inspired by Tom Joad's speech in The Grapes of Wrath, for those of you who haven't read it. However, it's also the presentation of what morality is all about. And, you know, morality's become the property of the right wing in this country, because there's far too many people on the left who don't want to talk about it, and therefore they've abstracted and perverted morality and things like family values to mean genital supervision and media censorship. You know, when morality is actually a lot deeper than that, and family values could also go much deeper too. You want children to have adequate health care or decent educations. You can redefine some of these terms that would go a long way. But the point I'm trying to make about this song that goes to Tom Joad is morality demonstrates the relationship between freedom and responsibility. If you're a free citizen in a free society, then you have a responsibility to act a certain way and make certain choices. And that song is a presentation of a choice. Where are you going to be in a moment of police brutality? Where are you going to be in the moment of children in the richest country in the world going to bed hungry? Where are you going to be when there's a fight against the blood and hatred in the air? You know, Howard Zinn, the late Howard Zinn, has that famous quote that probably summarizes it best: you can't be neutral on a moving train. You're either contributing to what's going on, for lack of a better term, status quo, or you're doing something about it to try to enact some kind of reform, some kind of revitalization, revolution that will improve and better people's lives, and also change the way the power structure looks at people in this country and around the world. And that's a democratic choice that's presented in that song, and it's one that every citizen has to answer. Even those who think they're getting out of answering it are answering it through their inactivity. And that's what Zinn was getting at. You can't be neutral on a moving train. And to answer that question requires some form of vision. And that's why I called the book The Progressive Political Vision of Bruce Springsteen. And the book delineates exactly what that is. See, it's biblical. You can look to the Bible, and it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So you have to raise a question: what kind of vision are we talking about? What kind of vision are we acting on? What kind of vision are we trying to commit ourselves to and execute in our daily lives and in the long term. Bob Dylan wrote a song called "Gonna Change My Way of Thinking," and that's what art has the capacity to do. As I said before, we can change our way of thinking from money to love, from self-advancement to social assistance, from convenience to justice. Because we're at a place where too many Americans, they want to reach a destination without taking a journey. They want to triumph without being tested. Well, any kind of long-term project that has this kind of vision, this kind of commitment, requires sacrifice. And that song is largely about sacrifice, as much of Bruce Springsteen's music is. And what I think Jesse and everyone here is trying to do requires a great deal of sacrifice. And once you commit yourself to that sacrifice, and once you construct this kind of vision, what you're really doing is you're living your life as a work of art. We're talking about art. A song is a work of art. A novel is a work of art. A film is a work of art. But a life can be a work of art too. And if you dedicate yourself to love, altruistic love, if you devote yourself to service for suffering people, and you commit yourself to justice, you're living an artistic life, because your life is one of creation. Any great artist creates. And we have, in this culture, even with all its limitations, and all its repression, suppression, oppression, take them off down the list, we have countless opportunities to create opportunities for love, to create opportunities to improve people's lives, and to create opportunities to provide some check and balance on organized systems of power, and eventually toppling those systems. You have to move one step at a time, of course. So living an artistic life becomes a mode of combative spirituality. Now I'm going to go out on a wild limb here and guess that I have more of a religious sensibility than a lot of the people in this room. You know, it's the Revelation books, you know. And we can talk about that during the Q&A. We can have some non-combative dialogue. But the way that I see faith working in my own life, and the individuals who choose that, I'm not preaching it here, I'm not converting anyone here, is breaking out of the cage of materialism and the narrow limitations of the corrupted world in front of you, and finding something to devote yourself to that imbues you with higher principles, better priorities, and deeper values. And that's what we see in Martin Luther King. That's what we see. You can go right down the road here and go to St. Sabina with Father Michael Flager, and you see that going on at that church. They're committed to improving the lives of suffering people in a world that just simply doesn't care. They don't give a damn. But see, Flager and people like him, they've committed themselves to a higher calling. And that's why some of these things can be redefined. Like I talked about family values. Faith can be redefined to be not about dogma and doctrine, but about action and participation and behavior. And is your faith a method of committing yourself